The mainstream media doesn't seem to cover all necessary details about the new LIV Golf Tour. Maybe they were trying to hide something fishy from us. So I decided to do some deep online research about the new Rebel Tour, and what I've discovered will probably shock you. From insane legal battles turning the golf world on its head, missing OWGR points that made the pros stumble down the rankings, to suddenly being allowed to play at this year's Masters, and even being endorsed by a former American president. These are 10 things you didn't know about the LIV Golf Tour. At number 10, I bet you didn't know that LIV in the LIV Golf Tour's name is not an acronym. You see, while the LIV Golf Tour may look like a pretty strange name on paper, there is actually a reason they chose it. So what does LIV Golf stand for? LIV stands for the Roman numeral 54. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, LIV Golf's CEO and Commissioner Greg Norman explained its meaning in the context of the LIV Golf Tour. Now, if you were to birdie every single hole on a par 72 course, 54 is the lowest score you could shoot. So there is an inspirational aspect to the thinking. It is also the number of holes to be played in each event. Indeed, LIV Golf players will play just 54 holes in total, as the Startups tournaments are only 3 days long. Most tournaments and events on the PGA Tour last 4 days and 72 holes. Well, at least the name is a lot catchier than the rather dreary Saudi Golf League moniker, and it goes without saying that LIV Golf was built differently. As for number 9, there are 2 players built differently that have vowed to take down the Saudi-backed series, and they are never leaving the PGA Tour. You see, Tiger Woods and Rory Mclroy are 2 golfers that have been very vocal about the breakaway tour and the players that chose to ditch the PGA Tour.
And to play there, I disagree with it.
You'll recall Woods turned down a massive deal from LIV Golf. Ever since, he made it a habit to call out the Rebel Series and its talisman, Greg Norman. Rory, on the other hand, has always claimed to be an advocate for cohesiveness in golf, but his actions and statements seem otherwise. First, he began by calling LIV players betrayers for making a name for themselves on the PGA Tour only to seek shelter elsewhere when the chips were down. And even when the dust was yet to settle, he dropped another bombshell.
I think if those guys thought outside of themselves, they'd see that this wasn't best for everyone.
If those guys thought outside of themselves, man, this is a message to the guys like Phil Mickelson, Cameron Smith, Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia, and the rest. Rory is literally saying you guys are greedy and self-centered to have made the controversial move. And it takes some guts to spill the beans without having to care about who gets hurt and who's not. Number 8, but guess who's got the real guts? Yeah, Chairman Ridley and company. You see, when the Masters announced that eligible LIV golfers would be teeing off at the Augusta National Golf Club, the entire golf world went crazy. The boys in the LIV Golf League were ecstatic, while the players on the PGA Tour felt betrayed. And that's because there was a high possibility that those who decamped to LIV Golf would be excluded from the Masters tournament, which was a strong deterrent to others who contemplated similar moves. And that alone was enough to scare players who had their eyes on making the switch. When the dust was yet to settle, the Open Championship made a similar announcement. R&A Chief Executive Martin Slumber was pretty firm when he said he really didn't care which tour anybody played on. Just meet the criteria and you'd receive an invite. But while everyone was giving a reasonable opinion, check out what this player had to say.
More fun for us knowing that they hate us, going to the majors and beat them. Since they give us the notice that...
Neiman is happy the guys on tour hate them, and he's looking forward to showing them who's boss at the majors. That's crazy. Number 7. But who is number 7? Because you probably didn't know that LIV Golf signed a multi-million-dollar deal with CW that will bring them to the homes of millions of Americans. And this couldn't have come at a better time. You see, while LIV Golf's rival was more concerned about putting a stop to the exodus of its players to the Rebel League, Norman and company were in pursuit of a TV deal. According to sources, LIV struck out with approaches to multiple broadcasters, including Fox Sports, CBS, NBC, Apple, and Amazon. The financial terms of the deal may not have been made public, but getting in front of over 120 million homes is a big deal and has gotten a lot of attention in the media. But naysayers weren't having any of this. They shifted focus from the TV deal to something very disturbing that might bring an end to LIV Golf. Number 6. You see, Everyone on the Upstart Series is talking about it, and even if players are unconcerned, they probably won't be able to hide it for that long. Last year, 50 players from LIV Golf signed a letter to the chairman of OWGR, Peter Dawson, urging him to act appropriately as a true statesman of sports to include, on a retroactive basis, the results of its events in OWGR's ranking calculations. And when no response came forth, Norman partnered with MENA Tour, but nothing came out of the effort. But who would think LIV Golf's biggest critic would come off this friendly?
Meet the criteria, they can get world ranking points. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't.
I know, Rory could be that twisted. But what about number 5? The fact that the 45th American President of the United States is actually pro-LIV and a friend to the Saudis might come as a surprise to you. But in a short interview with the Associated Press, he revealed just that.
I've known these people for a long time in Saudi Arabia, and they've been friends of mine for a long time.
Donald Trump is a big fan of LIV, and he does have his reasons. Some of Trump's golf clubs have even hosted LIV golf events, and he says he owes no one apologies. But when you thought he'd stop there, Trump dropped another bombshell.
The PGA was not loved by a lot of the players, as you know, for a long time. Now they have an alternative.
Yeah, the guys never really liked the PGA Tour and its very strict rules, but they had no options back then. Trump thinks the LIV Golf Tour is very good for golf and the players as their salaries are going way up. So yeah, the rich are getting even more rich, just in Donald's spirit. Number 4, speaking about options, LIV Golf seems to have a lot of them, including the franchise model.
And working for them. Is there a difference?
Yeah, of course there's a total difference.
What LIV Golf is trying to achieve is the franchise model, which has never been done in the world of golf. Last month, LIV Golf confirmed the full 12-team and 48-player field set to compete all season in the league. The 12 teams include Torque GC, captained by Joaquin Niemann, Majestics GC, captained by Ian Poulter, Smash GC, led by Brooks Koepka, 4 Acres GC, captained by Dustin Johnson, Sergio Garcia-led Fireballs GC, HY Flyers GC, led by Phil Mickelson, and a host of others. The LIV franchise model will be a huge financial windfall for the Saudis and the league itself. There is an endless supply of wealthy international individuals who would be willing to pay huge money to own a franchise like in the NBA, NFL, and even European football. You see, first, no one was sure if the LIV Golf concept was going to be a success. But everything seems to be falling right into place, which makes me believe the franchise model wouldn't be any different. I see the franchise model as being viable for the game despite golf being an individual sport. But then, there are a couple of questions to be asked and answered for a potential franchise owner, and it's going to take a while for the idea to come to fruition. First, what's the total cost, and what's the return potential for the franchise owner? And how much more is a team featuring Cam Smith or Dustin Johnson worth than a team featuring Lee Westwood and Ian Poulter? Notwithstanding, round 1 of franchise sales will possibly generate over $500 million for the Saudis. Although using the same model as Formula One is no guarantee the golfing public will buy in, particularly in the UK, Europe, and the US, from the look of things, the team concept will be a huge success. But check out this guy, Maddie, who had a totally different opinion.
And the team aspect of it is so dumb.
You heard the man. He says it's dumb. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Number 3. But what if dumb was only a mild way to put it? I mean, LIV Golf has only 54 holes over 3 days and shotgun starts. You see, the first thing you'll likely notice just by looking at the LIV Golf schedule is that there are only 3 rounds. With just 48 golfers and 3 rounds, all players will compete from the start of the first round until the end of the third, unless they decide to withdraw. The scoring is the same with the PGA Tour. It is a simple stroke play through 54 holes, with the golfer with the lowest score after the completion of the tournament being named the winner. And that's not all. LIV Golf uses shotgun starts, meaning players will have the same tee time on different holes. The shotgun format helps reduce the amount of time a round will last, but it is more conducive to a smaller field. But someone has to talk about it, and not just anybody. Maddie from the Maddie and the Caddy podcast.
Like it. I think a shotgun start is like a member guest and it's stupid. 54 holes is stupid.
Number 2. While Maddie describes it as stupid, what would you call this?
Street Journal, Phil Mickelson, Bryson DeChambeau, and 9 other LIV Golf players have filed an antitrust lawsuit against the PGA Tour.
That was when the legal battle began, with LIV players suing the PGA Tour for its monopolistic culture, according to Mickelson. Soon, LIV joined the case, asking its players to stand down, and things could only get messier. Then the PGA countersued, saying that LIV had tortuously interfered with its contract with golfers. The lawsuit at hand is a countersuit waged by the PGA Tour against LIV Golf in response to a separate antitrust suit LIV filed against the Tour for anti-competitive practices. In short, everyone is suing everyone, and we've reached the point where other industry leaders are being pulled into it. However, everyone was reacting, and Kisner wasn't going to be left out.
Something about our tour, so they went to a different tour, and now they're trying to fight to come back to our tour. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Number 1. Speaking about what makes sense and what doesn't, what if I told you Greg Norman is not who you think he is? Greg Norman is a retired professional golfer who spent 331 weeks as a top-ranked golfer in the 80s and 90s. During his career, Norman won 89 professional tournaments, including 20 PGA tournaments and 2 majors, the Open Championship in 1986 and 1993. Norman also earned 30 top 10 finishes and was a runner-up 8 times in the majors throughout his career. Known as the Great White Shark, Norman is arguably the most successful Australian golfer. He is the chairman and CEO of the Greg Norman Company, a global corporation with a portfolio of companies in fields including apparel, interior design, real estate, wine production, private equity, and golf course design. For the last 2 years, he was named CEO of LIV Golf Investments, a startup company financed by Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund. Greg is currently married to Kirsten Kuttner, a former flight attendant, and the duo have 2 kids together, Gregory and Morgan Lee. Norman, who currently has a net worth of $400 million, lives in his $12.2 million mansion in Florida, and things couldn't get any better. So what did you just find out about LIV Golf that you probably didn't know before? Let us know in the comments section below. For more intriguing golf content from us, click one of these videos or visit our new cool golf merchandise shop.